Clear the Reviews, and here today we're going to be covering Young LB, also known as the professional middleman. Young LB has been very known for being connected to Runts, Jokes Up, Cookies, and some other brands that are very big in the cannabis game. He is also known for being a rapper and just a entrepreneur. Young LB has had a very controversial rise in the game, and today he is in some interesting situations. So we're here to cover his life story and to go more into depth on the more current situation. So let's get into it. Young LB and his family come from Tonga. His brothers and parents were actually born there. So they have a great appreciation for what they've been able to accomplish and just a great appreciation for the freedom that they have in America. Also, with them coming to America from Tonga gave them a great respect and love for one another, which is very dope to see. I do see this a lot in people who come to America. They have a very close bond with their family, which is very respectable and very admirable. Young LB was born in Long Beach. He definitely was able to get a very interesting style from being out in this part of California, and he would have to deal with some gang activity growing up. He was actually in a gang, and he would see some very interesting stuff early. He started smoking at 12, and he got into music very early, so he had some hobbies to distract him from the streets, but he was still in the streets, kind of. He even says that early on he wanted to be a rapper, so at school, his boy told him some lines that he wrote, and LB just stole the lines and retold them to his cousins so that he could get into their rap group called Ghetto and Gutter.
You feel me? Like, we gonna make you the young bull on the team. I had 8 bars. I went to school and found the illest rappers. Got the 8 bars from him and put it all, mixed it together, and came back to the studio and rapped this shit.
They looking at you
Man, I'm the
like,
rise young bull.
Right.
Unfortunately, when his mom found out everything that was going on when he was living with his grandmother, she decided to bring him to the Bay to stay with her. This change was massive. In the Bay, it is so much different than it is in LA or just in Southern California. The biggest difference is that in the Bay, they're more into pimping. They're more into hustling and getting money. But in LA and that part of California, they are more into gang stuff. So moving to the Bay gave him a lot more options, and this was honestly something that seemed to be a very big chapter in his life. This move seemed to change him as a person in a lot of ways. When he came to the Bay, he did see the fast-paced lifestyle, and he did start selling dope, also known as dog food to some people, but we're not going to go into depth on that. That is not necessarily a topic I want to speak on too much.
I was selling dope in the Bay Area. My first time selling crack cocaine was at like 17.
Not this dope.
Nah, hell no. This is the new dope.
He even says that he hated the clients, and it was mainly because he couldn't play games with the products. They wanted what they paid for, and he says it. So he fastly found out that this was not his style, and this was not going to be something that he could put a lot of time into. His cousin was actually doing very well with this company called Keep It Lit, so he signed LB to the label.
I've been around merchandise and printing up shirts and shit my whole life. I used to be signed to Keep It Lit Records.
Right.
That was a Tongan record label. You know what I'm saying?
Out of Long Beach or out
nah,
of
it was
the Bay?
It wasn't out the Bay, but it was out of Sacramento, actually.
Oh, okay.
Long live King Lil Bo. That was my cousin. You feel me? And he believed in me. He came and grabbed me from LA, and literally we started a record label called Keep It Lit Records.
Wow.
And we went on tour. We went on I think it was 24 cities, and we sold out 22 in the island community from Hawaii, Utah, all this shit. And we was on a tour with the tour bus. I mean, not a tour bus, with a Sprinter. Printing up our own Keep It Lit records, everything. We had our own screen printing, everything. I had everything at a warehouse. We had our own studio. So it just opened my eyes early on how to be independent.
Being a part of Keep It Lit allowed him to go on tour, where he actually learned a lot about branding. While being out there, he's seen the value in networking and building relationships with people with some fame. Throughout this time, he was still doing music on the side as well, so he eventually found his way into another rap group called Money Over Bullshit. Doing music was such a great hobby for him because he would soon meet the Jacka in the studio, and he would actually give the Jacka a pint of lean, which he says locked him in for life. The Jacka would even invite him to the mini mansion. LB would be well aware of this being a very huge opportunity, so he would be at the mini mansion any chance he could get, and he'd be hanging around some bosses there. He would even first meet Burner at the mini mansion. Sadly though, one day, eventually when LB was supposed to meet up with the Jacka, he got a call and the Jacka actually got killed. This was a major loss. But at the Jacka's funeral, he would find himself talking to Burner, and this would spark a connection. He does say that Ray is the real reason that Burner would trust him and to even give him the benefit of the doubt, but this connection would go on to create something that eventually really made LB what he is today.
So then you tap in with Burner and
Then
you
we go
start
to the
working with him
funeral.
as well?
Then we go to the funeral. I see
Oh.
Burner there, you know.
Right.
I see everybody was at Jack's funeral, like, you know. It was all everybody. So then I met Burner, and then we locked in, but we didn't all the way lock in until me and Ray Bama linked up, you know.
Right.
So when me and Ray linked up, you know, Ray and Burner are like brothers. So he started bringing me around and started talking about me to Burner and gave.
Burner that it put his guard down. You feel me? So
With that, I was going everywhere to every cookie functions, everything. Went on tour with Burn, everything. You know what I'm saying? And we was a Cookie Boys. We started our own little group type shit. It was me, Ski Mask, Nero, and Holly. You feel me? Guy Holly. So we was running around on road with him, and we was the Cookie Boys.
LB would now become one of the Cookie Boys. This was a crew that was made up of him, Ray Bama, Germ, Jilla, Ski Mask, and a few others. But this was definitely a crew that was really making some noise, and not only doing that, they were really making an impression on the market. The Cookies Boys were going state to state pushing the brand, and they were really going about the growth and development process in a very strategic and smart way. This was very smart of them to not only use the fact they were going on tour with Burner and just giving product to a bunch of different rappers and taking pictures of product in different areas and stuff like that, where they could actually branch out and show people that there is something else, there is something different out there that's coming soon. It was very smart. It was a very, very genius operation of building that hype, and not only doing that, but building the desire for the regular average Joe to want to try it, just due to the fact that their favorite rapper or their favorite celebrity is talking about it. Burner is actually a very smart person. He definitely understands that he needs a crew around him to do some of the legwork, and he taught a lot of this to LB. LB would definitely go on to do a lot of amazing work in the same style that Burner did it, and it is definitely some interesting stuff. So whether or not you like either of the two, they both are people who created a wave, and no one can deny it. Let's get back to it though. While on tour, LB would meet up with the Migos and many more influential people who would very much help him later down the road. This right here might just sound like the perfect situation to continue to strive in. If you have someone that is supplying you with product and having you be their brand ambassador and just part of their team, this seems like the perfect position to play. It seems like if anyone had the opportunity of being in this position, they're not gonna take it for granted. But Ray and LB weren't necessarily getting paid as they say, so they went on to look for other options. And when Ray's friend Nick found this stuff called purple Skittles that was definitely not purple Skittles, they knew they had something on their hands that potentially could help them create something that would be bigger than cookies. This purple Skittles was almost too good to be real. It was tasting different each time, which made LB and Ray come up with the name Runts, because Runts are these interesting candies that taste different throughout the experience. And when they seen that they had this super creative name and this gem of a strain, they knew that they had to go make sure this was being sold to no one else. But unfortunately, there was one other person. This other vendor was calling it 1BR, aka One Black Radius, which would have never been as big as Runts. If you seen 1BR and Runts next to each other, what would you have picked? Let me know down in the comments. Definitely let me know. I think that everyone's gonna say Runts, but some might say One Black Radius, so let me know in the comments. But when they secured this strain and really had this going, you would probably expect that Burner might be a little bit mad that his boys were straying away from him and not showing their support anymore. But no, he supported it, and he definitely was someone who promoted them very well early. In 2017, LB would even go on tour with Playboi Carti, Gunna, and a few other extremely big rappers, and this was the perfect time to start branding. It was the perfect time to have Runts. This not only gave him the chance to show off this strain directly to wealthy, famous people, but it was the perfect opportunity to put it in the eyes of the average consumers who are going to be coming to the meet and greets and just coming to the shows in general. So during Carti's meet and greets, they would be parked in a Sprinter very close, and they would just be smoking out in the parking lot so that everyone could see the brand and everyone can smell it as well. And a lot of people would actually even come up to the Sprinters and ask to buy some, which was a huge connection right there. This really made people take notice, and it even made Burner take more notice of them. Burner actually would end up buying 50% of Runts, and this was very helpful for Runts. This was extremely helpful. This obviously would not only put them on the shelves of the biggest store in the world, but it was also the perfect strain name and brand name to have right next to Cookies. Cookies is a very interesting brand, but it is a flashy, very appealing strain to people who like that dessert type strain. So having Runts right next to it is perfect. Eventually though, this seemed to not be a good move, and Ray was thinking that Burner was trying to hold them back. This is possible. Burner definitely could have been trying to stunt the growth in ways just to try to monopolize the market in a way, but maybe Ray was thinking a bit too much into it. We see both sides, and clearly this is just not good for business. But during this period, LB was smart enough to see that this was causing a lot of conflict that he would have to deal with as well. And what he actually did was start putting jokes up on all of the Runts bags. This move is definitely kind of snakish in ways because you're almost setting up a getaway plan, but clearly it is something that was smart in that moment due to the fact it was all falling apart because his partners couldn't come to an agreement. And from here is where we see the team up between J Paid and LB. This is better known as Jokes Up. Jokes Up is a play on words. It is almost another way of saying stop lying, stop bullshitting, stop capping. It is a play on words, so it is an interesting thing to label your brand as. To me, it's almost a play on the customer, which I don't know. Sometimes it seems like they may be playing the customers. LB was even quoted saying that fake bags were a very important part of the growth of Jokes Up. And he even goes on to say that they were even putting the same strain in different bags early on.
We're just not used to seeing brands get to. I feel like one of the things was the whole meme of the fake runs.
That's really too, you know? It was literally everything, bro. Everything possibly that you could think about fucking branding, it was it. The fake runs helped it a lot.
Really?
You know, them making fake ass, because Obama runs was fake.
Really? It was always fake?
That was never real. We heard the
Wow.
fucking meme going crazy. I immediately, what? Oh, we're making a song. We're doing Obama runs. We're making the whole shit. And then even my business partner like, shit, we're doing it. We even had Obama runs t-shirt. We sold 20,000 units of it, bro.
Isn't that crazy that one? How do you look at those kind of people who are out here making money off of your brand name? Can you hate on the game?
I swear I don't hate. At first I was tripping because I was like the runs like, yo, what the fuck you doing? Where'd you get it from? Nah,
Right.
hell no, that's fake. That ain't from me. Then I started like for what?
Right. Because you're not going to be able to stop
But then
it.
not just that, I just understand that this fucking industry was $100 billion industry. What am I hate on the next nigga trying to feed his family? You
Right.
feel me? I became that person. Like, nah, the cup is halfway full, not halfway empty.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if he could help pay his rent and all this shit with it, fuck it. And my thing was like, it's just gonna help the brand. You feel me? Fuck it, let them sell fake. Nah, then I started even.
It becomes shit. Let's sell some fake packaging too. Shit, I'm with that too.
Why we gonna let the bootleggers win? Nah, let us win too. You know? But I couldn't police all that shit, man. Fuck all that shit, bro. Let everybody eat. You feel me?
But
And then,
is that always, like, that's how you always do it? You have to have completely different packaging for everything?
everything.
But does it start with the product?
yeah, hell yeah.
It always has to
Yeah,
be like a
always.
different.
Yeah, it has to be a
you never
different
have
cut.
like a great packaging idea and then you just end up putting the same weed in the bag?
At first, I ain't gonna lie, that was the lick, you know?
Right.
It was just that, but once you started getting different buds and different structures and, you know, different genetics from different people.
Yep, this is terrible. This is not good at all. So he was even saying that they sell fake packaging too. And doing shady stuff like this would lead to many brands actually suing him. And some of these brands include Hershey's, Haagen-Dazs, and many others. The reason they were able to sue him was because he was using their brands to sell his product. He was putting basically their exact same logo and artwork on his brands just to give it kind of this nostalgic look that would bait in people who really enjoyed that type of candy or enjoyed that type of dessert, which isn't a dumb idea. It's definitely a smart business move, but in the bigger picture, it does allow brands to sue you. But one of those strange and interesting bags that actually didn't even get him sued, but he actually wishes he did get sued over, was the Obama runs. This was originally not even his creation. This was made as a joke. Someone made a viral meme where they were referring to Obama runs, almost saying that runts will make any type of strain. They would probably even make a Obama runs, and the photo went viral. And he's seen this, so he capitalized on it and actually made Obama runs. And they made a bunch of t-shirts as well, and would end up selling 20,000 t-shirts of the Obama runs. This is not a small amount of t-shirts at all. Fashion and clothes has always seemed like a huge interest for LB. So he has been selling t-shirts since very early on, and they always have been on that type of wave. But to sell 20,000 t-shirts of an idea that you didn't even come up with, that was made as a joke, is kind of just legendary. It is definitely, it is what it is, but at the same time, this is something that it is smart of him that he capitalized on it. So fashion being something that they've always been super interested in, they would eventually go to Fashion Week in London, which was not a great move for them. They would actually get caught up with some flour, and it didn't necessarily go down too easy, but he definitely made it back pretty fast, and it could have been a lot worse. So after this hit, he seen that there was a bigger opportunity out there, and a smarter one as well, where he didn't necessarily have to put himself in danger. Him and J Paid would start selling stamps, or just selling collabs for their brand, which is a very lucrative move, but at the same time, it is also something that's going to very much bring down the quality of your brand. And during this time of them selling stamps and selling collabs, they were having a lot of success. They actually really were. They're having massive amounts of success, where it actually led them to having the opportunity of opening their own dispensary and even their own ice cream shop as well, which they were both called Ice Cream. And one of the big sellers on the shelves was LB's Girls strain called Queen's Cut. Queen's Cut was something that really opened a lot of doors for them to do some collabs with some bigger artists such as Bobby Shmurda. There is some credible brands who did buy this collab, such as High Tolerance, such as Shark Lotto, such as any of those ones that are actually just under the Jokes Up umbrella. But there is also some other ones who aren't necessarily so credible and end up doing some very shady business that obviously LB isn't necessarily responsible for, so we're not going to fully bring that up. So even me bringing that up is just me trying to make the point that allowing people to buy a seat at your table is really going to ruin the quality of your business, and is really going to just create a lot of opportunities for some bad situations. But the major problem at the end of the day was still LB. He was getting into physical fights with his girlfriend, which would cause them to eventually split up. But before doing that, he would actually really cause some insane amounts of pain. We'll speak on that in a bit, but this actually caused him to pull her strain off the shelves, and this really stunted the growth of her brand, but didn't really ruin the growth of Runs or Jokes Up. And of course, his friends being around to see this was definitely something that a lot of them felt some type of way about, but some of them just stuck around because of the money. LB would go on to start some very huge brands, and of course this definitely made a lot of people really respect him and give him a lot of credit that they felt they owed to him. But sometimes the bad outweighs the good. LB would go on to play J Paid in many ways. This was someone who was not only giving him all of the finances to make everything happen, but was also there to support him during all of these crazy episodes that he was having when he was doing what he did.
Shorted us 1.2 million on papers. I'm so happy you went to the internet first. I'm so happy you went to do all that weird shit first, bro. Yeah, I went out that punk ass partner you brought in that shorted us 1.2 million on paper, that he got audited, all the bullshit. He's short, he ain't cutting no checks. You the only person getting a check from Ice Cream. Like, come on, bruh. What you expect me to do, bruh? I built this brand, bruh. What the fuck? You just an ambassador, homie. Say this and say that, bruh. Like, I already spoke to my lawyer. You could get depleted down to an ambassador level, which is 10%. You want to know something, bro? Based off my capital injections, homie. What you spend, bro? What you invest, bro? Yeah, you put some legwork in. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You talk to the right people. You talk to the rappers. You talk to the right people that didn't want to talk to the white boy.
LB's boy would even go behind J-Paid's back and get a trademark for Jokes Up. And he would even do it in LB's name. As you see behind the scenes, this has been playing out for some time, and clearly it has been an issue that J-Paid has tried to come to the table with LB about. He has tried to sit down with him. He's even tried to work it out in other ways that aren't necessarily beneficial for business, but he's trying to figure this situation out. And when LB publicly threw dirt on J-Paid's name, J-Paid responded, and he put out a lot of texts. He put out a lot of information that I'm even using in this documentary today. So of course, everything Jay is saying in this video is hearsay. No one knows if it's fact or if it is him kind of exaggerating. There is some of the pieces that he does prove, and one of those being a very major issue of LB hitting Queen P. This is definitely a very strange situation due to the fact that obviously she's been able to help him get to the level that he's got to, but of course no one knows the behind the scenes situation. No one knows the reason in which he did it, and no one can really give it a reason either way. It's not necessarily something that you can reason with. What I would say is maybe he has that type of behavior through when he was living in the Bay and he was seeing the pimping. It's not an excuse that I'm trying to give him by any means. Obviously, it is just no good. So this is definitely something I felt needs to be addressed. It's not something that can be left out. It is definitely something that, in my opinion, is very telling on a character. If someone is going to do that, then there's no question, or there's no real idea of what the hell they actually are capable of. So this is not good. So yes, the man definitely isn't a great person. He clearly sells fake weed, he sells fake bags, he cheats his family for money, and even puts some of his family in jail for his own situations. So definitely isn't a great person, but at the end of the day, this is what the business is made out of today. We have a lot of these characters in the game at this very moment, and it's not necessarily something that I see a lot of people really trying to fix. So I don't know. At the end of the day, are these scam brands ever gonna change? Are people ever gonna stop supporting them? Maybe not. I think that some people will see a video like this and will definitely not want to continue to support these types of brands. But as we've seen with examples such as BZ, B-Leaf, Cali Plug, and many others, people do some shady, questionable stuff that is definitely no good, and they still get a lot of shine. So maybe the game is just completely corrupted at this point. And at the end of the day, LP does have some valuable talents. He is definitely someone who helped the game get to the place that it's at, maybe for better or maybe for worse. That's for us to decide. But I'll turn to the viewer and ask you a question. Will you continue to support? And if not, is there any way that he could rewrite his wrong? Or is it just finalized after you see someone do what he did to a woman? Is this just a closed door on the situation now? This is definitely something that I'm very interested in hearing from the people. I obviously have my my decision made, and it is what it is. I think that everyone definitely needs a second chance in life, but in a situation like this, you have to face realities. So I feel like this is necessary. So I appreciate anyone who watches this. Stay blessed.